There is so much more to life than what we see. What if we were capable of feeling it? This is the Inner Guide Podcast, a journey back to you. Welcome to the Inner Guide Podcast. I am Isabel Churchill, and I'm your guide for this journey back to you. Today, I want to talk about your ability to discern. Our power of discernment is probably one of the best ally that you have in this journey, in this ability to reconnect with yourself. We don't really teach discernment. It's not something that is common within our society. We are often taught to what we need to believe. We are often taught to use the logical mind to discern things. But today I want to talk about the ability to discern through sensation, through what's going on inside. I share that today because this is probably the best tool that I acquire in my process of working with energy. A lot of time people will ask me, how do you know that you're channeling beings that are high frequency, that are positive? How do you know that you're not being corrupted with the energies that you're channeling when you're doing Reiki? Lately, Reiki has been having a lot of bad talk, I want to say. A lot of people are hesitant about Reiki because they believe that Reiki has been corrupted with certain negative energy. But to me, it all depends on the practitioner, how the practitioner operates, how the practitioner has been taught, and how much work has been done from the practitioner in order to be discerning the energy. To me, Reiki energy is absolutely loving and beautiful, and there's absolutely no harm that can be done with the frequency of Reiki. But if the practitioner is not in alignment with the practice of Reiki, which, trust me, there are a lot of people who are not in alignment with the practice of Reiki, the energy will be perceived differently because a person is not a channel of Reiki, but actually channeling other energies. And that applies to any practice, any energetic practice. It applies to any practitioners in the field of energy healing. If the practitioner hasn't done his work of discernment, there's this inability to being capable of identifying the energy around us. So how do we develop this ability to discern? Well, first, you have to start connecting with yourself. It's no coincidence that we've been talking about the energy, the boundaries, the shadow work, the inner child. Those are all steps that you need to work on. And I'm hoping that you're listening to those episodes maybe once a week, and between the weeks, you're doing your work. It's one thing to acquire information, it's another one to actually put it into action. So it will be difficult to discern the energy if you haven't done some of the work that you need to do in order to reconnect with yourself. So shadow work is essential, inner child is essential, and also creating boundaries is essential because you are unable to discern the energies if you are so attached to other people, if you are so dependent of other people's presence and energy and opinion. For me, the ability to discern is something that I have built in my process because I did have some occasions where it was energies that I was not familiar with or made me uncomfortable. And I want to say that every time that you feel uncomfortable with energy or with someone or with a situation, it's your body's way to express, well, be cautious, pay attention. Maybe that's not the right practitioner for you. Maybe it's not the right place for you. We've learned to ignore those abilities of discernment so much in our society because we think that it's a judgment, because we think that it's not fair for the other person, etc. But when you think back of those moments where you had that insight and you did not listen to it and something bad happened, or something that was not really what you expected, didn't turn out positive, well, now you have an example, now you have experience, and now you have a reason to trust yourself even more. So for me, when I channel energy, and it's been a long time, I've been in the practice since almost 10 years, and to me, it's been really interesting to trust myself first, but also to move through the different aspects of the signature of the energy or the texture of energy. And I do that often with people where I'll do this simple exercise to discern. So just take a moment, and I feel like we've done that before, and if we have, it'll just sink in even more. So just sit down and think of the word fire. And just pay attention to what you feel around the quality of the word fire. Is there a sensation specific in the body, a thought? And then just think of the word water. And you're automatically going to start seeing a discernment in the energy of both words. For me, the word fire has a little bit more intensity to it. It's a little bit higher into my physical body. I sense it a little bit more at the chest. And it's something that is a little bit more exciting, maybe. When I say water, it has more a quality of calm, serene. It's lower in my body. I feel it more around the hips. And it's also something that brings a lot of peace to me. And of course, we didn't talk about the colors, but fire and water has very different colors. So you can see that every word, everything around us, if we take the time to sit down with it, pay attention to its energy quality, its energy signature, we start discerning that there is a difference between the energy of fire and the energy of water. Same thing if I was to say cancer. For me, when I say the word cancer, I feel heaviness. I feel like tightness in my throat and almost like there is tension in my forehead. But then if I say the word freedom, it completely shifts the emotion, shifts the energy. The quality of the word is very different. So between cancer and freedom. And that's a really good practice, because what it will translate to is that you'll be capable of discerning the energy of somebody talking to you. And all of a sudden you feel uncomfortable, or all of a sudden you feel like there's an energy. And don't be fooled by the words. Sometimes the energy does not match the words. If somebody is saying to you, oh yeah, I'm super happy to be here, and yet the energy of it feels like, no, all they want is to be gone. You can tell that there is a difference. And that's where there's dissonance. That's where like there is a disconnection between what is expressed and what is felt. And for me, that has been more and more present because I am more and more into the world of energy, more connected with that. And it's really easy for me to detect when there's dissonance. Also, having years of therapy, of practice in therapy, where my clients would say something and their physical body would express something completely different. So I think it's important to be aware of that. It's important to be also in connection with that aspect. So the more you start feeling things around you, and the more you start paying attention to those subtle differences in the quality of the energy, the more you become capable of discerning. And discernment is actually such a beautiful gift because it will transpire into the decisions you made, into the things that you want to do, the projects that you want to do. For example, I've been wanting to participate in an expo, like a holistic expo or wellness expo, and I've been like really wanting to be out there. So if you have any awareness of an expo in the area of Washington, D.C., please let me know. I'm still looking. But all that to say that I did get a text message from a friend the other day saying, hey, like, my friend is participating in this expo. If you're interested, here's the info. And I looked it up and I thought, oh, that's exciting. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But there is something that is not, I don't know, it's not what I'm looking for. So part of me is, well, I'm just going to make it happen because that's what I've been wanting to do. And then the other part of me is like, no, be patient. There's something better coming up. And, you know, this event is about $500, which for me is a lot to invest in something. If it was in the area, I might consider it even more, but it's about 3.5 hours away. It's not really my area. And plus, it will require that I'm gone probably all weekend, away from home, away from I have a bird, so I would be away from my bird, which if you have a parrot, you'll know that it's not hard to be away from them, but you know, it is challenging for them because birds are super close to their companion, their human companion. So anyway, all that to say that there was something that just didn't feel right. And if it would have been me 5 years ago without the ability of discernment that I have today, I would have probably jumped on the opportunity and be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Doesn't matter. It's expensive. I'll make up the money, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter if it's gone away. It's far away. So I would have probably done it. But I've been sitting on the decision for about 4 or 5 days, and more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, well, if it was really something I wanted to do, it would be easier to make the decision. So often this ability of discernment is a gift for us to be on the flow, to stay in the flow of the energy around us, to stay in the flow of where we're being directed, what are the things that we really want to do. And discernment can apply in situations like that where you have the ability to decide something, the options. So if you're looking for a new job, go into this ability of discerning the energy. Does that feel right? Was I really excited about it? Is there something that kind of threw me off about the interview or about the people who work there? All that. We have constant signs around us, and we need to be able to discern. We need to be able to detect the subtle energy that just doesn't feel quite right. When it's right, we feel it all the way. Like we feel it right away. And when it's meant to happen, things unfold pretty fast. So usually we don't necessarily use discernment when things are really on our path. We use discernment when it's not exactly what is in alignment with us. So for me, it's super important. And, you know, you can also use it on your social media. I've been doing that for a long time now, where as soon as I feel the energy is not quite right, or I watch something and it feels off, and here I'm not talking about necessarily being fully triggered. If I'm fully triggered by something, I'll sit down with it and try to do shadow work and be like, okay, why was I triggered with this? But if it's more like, oh, that's annoying, or I just didn't feel that, or that doesn't feel right, or whatever this person is saying, I'm not in alignment with it, I basically unfollow this person on the spot. And And that helps me maintain a great relationship with social media. A lot of people are no longer on Facebook. A lot of people are no longer on Instagram. But for me, I stay there because I've learned to work with the technology. I learned to make the technology meet my needs. And I think that's really important, especially in the age of technology that we're in. Don't become a slave of the technology. Make sure that whenever you're watching something, listening to something, when you finish watching the video or reading the post or listening to somebody, pay attention to how you feel after. If like the posts that you see on Instagram are making you hate your body, or making you hating yourself, or making you competitive with yourself or jealous of others, there is a problem. There is a problem. So you either need to stop torturing yourself with that stuff or start addressing the issue, do your shadow work. So it's really important. The discernment and is the ability to really pay attention to how you feel and then determine, okay, is that the feeling I want to experience? If so, I'm going to continue toward that direction. If it's not the feeling you want to experience, well, let's just end this now. And move on and bring the energy, the frequency that you want in your life. So I have very little tolerance for energies that are not bringing me what I want. Hence why probably I'm successful and I have a lot of energy in my day and I am able to accomplish a lot of things, because things around me, I've set it up in a way that it's not draining my energy, but much the opposite. It's actually uplifting me. I'm surrounding myself with friends, with people that are uplifting me, because we are living in a society where everybody's tired, everybody has a lack of energy, and yet they haven't really caught in the awareness of why are they so tired, why are they lacking energy. And to me, it's because they don't have the ability to discern what it is around them that is draining the energy, and also making the decision to detach from those things that are draining your energy. There's also this aspect of spiritual discernment. This is something that I don't talk about a lot, just because it doesn't speak to me as much, and it doesn't apply to many people. But because this podcast is somehow a link to energy work and spiritual work, I think it's important that I mention the importance of spiritual discernment. If you start working with your guides, your spiritual guides, or if you're working with somebody, a spiritual coach, if you're starting to meditate and connect with your guides, know that there's always a way to discern if you're truly connected with a light being, which is a being to me that has your best, has like your best interests at heart, or if it's a being that is of a low frequency, like a negative entity. So I don't have much energy to put into negative entities, because to me it's just a waste of time and energy, and I don't want to drop my frequency to be to their level, because that's how you attract them, through fear, through curiosity of the dark side, through the worries and concerns. So I don't attract that, but I think it's important that I bring it up. There is energies of low frequency around us. We can see it around the news. We can see it around social media. We can see it all over, everywhere. And it's really important to be capable of recognizing first that it is a low frequency. Anything that brings up fear in you has a low frequency. So if you are listening to the news and all of a sudden you're terrified, it's a low frequency. They're emitting a low frequency, dropping your own frequency. If And here I'm talking about really terrified and fear. There is a difference between being prepared, a difference between being realistic, and a difference between, okay, like this is information and I'm going to make sure that I stay safe. But there's some people that will really be terrified of what's to come, terrified of what is next on earth, and etc. And that to me is a low frequency. So it's one thing to be aware and also knowledgeable. It's another one to perpetrate fear around and be freaked out about what's to come, etc. So be really mindful of how you feel when you receive certain information. I remember for me at the beginning, I would be looking at YouTube and some people would talk about Archangel Michael being really a negative being, and we had to be careful because Archangel Michael was not the real Archangel Michael, and etc. And for me, I thought that was the weirdest comment I've ever heard, because Archangel Michael to me has always been a very positive light being that has helped me a lot on my journey and has been there to protect me. And also it's kind of funny because my husband went through the airborne military branch. It's not a branch, but anyway, he was airborne and he was with an airborne unit, and their guide, their protector is Archangel Michael. So I always thought it was interesting because the military do have some attachment to the energies of Archangel Michael, and I've seen it in France also. So to me, Michael has always been that protector. But when I heard that for the first time, I thought that's weird, so I kind of ignored the information. And then after that, a person who I was really close to, and now we're no longer connected, brought it up again. And it just, for me, like whenever people believed in that thing, it is just not something I wanted to give energy to. And I think it's because at that point, I was already capable of discerning the energy. But all that to say that, yeah, there are some energies that will try to make you believe they are Christ light, or they are Archangel Michael, or they are some kind of being that is of a high council and is there to guide you and tell you what to do. But mistake number one is that your guides will never give you orders or command or instill fear in you. That is the number one rule in spiritual discernment, is that your spiritual team, the light beings that are with you, that are there for your own good, will never give you commands, will never give you orders, will never tell you exactly what to do. And there's a difference between asking your guides what they feel you could do, but they'll never be saying, well, you have to do this because if you don't do this, this is going to happen. Or like there's a sense of you can feel in their quality of the energy that they're guiding you and not ordering you or commanding you. And that's a major difference. For me, every time that somebody in the energy world, somebody who says he's connected or channeling something, when somebody says something like, if you have not connected with the Christ light, you are not this and that and this and that. Like for me, this is when I use my discernment, because energy, light being, anything that is channeled, if it is channeled through love, if it's channeled through the highest, for the highest good, it will be information that is not judgmental, that is not commanding, that is not, it doesn't instill a sense of urgency. It will just be expressed in a way that is very compassionate and loving. So use your discernment to feel that. Use your ability to sense, okay, Is the information I'm receiving guiding me with compassion and love? Is it guiding me toward something? Is it inspiring? Is it motivating? But sometimes my guides will be like, Isabel, why do you keep on doing this? But they'll give me an explanation of why I might want to consider changing my decision, or why I might consider doing something different. They'll usually bring it up through humor. They'll usually show me something funny. For example, I think it was like 5, 6, maybe 4 years ago. I was on my way to the doctor and I knew I was late, and I was hitting traffic and hitting all the red lights, and I got really frustrated, and I was like, why is this like so happening to me? And all of a sudden I heard my guides started laughing, and they're like, well, maybe you just need to slow down today. That's what I heard them say. And it came in a way that, well, you might want to consider slowing down, as opposed to you have to slow down and serious and instill fear in me. So the way that they brought it up, it made me laugh, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just slow down. And I kind of let go of that need to rush. When I got to the medical office, the person at the front desk told me that the doctor was having a little bit of a delay. So, and then I heard my guides laugh again. So they were just, allowing me to relax. Even though I was late, it was not a big deal. And that's when discernment is important. It's to realize, okay, this is truly my guides connecting with me. So if you do have a connection with guides, if you do start communicating with energy, if you're channeling energy for healing, always pay attention to the quality of the energy, and know that you always have the right and the power to say no or to disconnect from that. And the best way to be sovereign is to be in integrity with yourself, and to be in the space of love and compassion for yourself and also for others. But for yourself first. If you're always focused on being compassionate and loving toward others, and then you turn around and you're the meanest person to yourself, you're not going to be protected, because you're sending to the universe the idea that it's okay to be mean to yourself. It's okay to be attacking yourself. So don't be surprised if you're having a difficulty with people around you. A lot of people around me will say, well, I'm the nicest person, and I've always been nice to others. I've always done everything for others, and yet I meet the meanest people. I've always been in the toxic relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then my question is always, are you really the nicest person? Have you been nice to yourself? And how do you talk to yourself? How do you treat yourself? And then there's a light bulb that happens, and they're like, oh. And that's what I mean by discernment. Start discerning the energy you send yourself, the energy you send to others, how you receive the energy around you. Start sensing that. Start feeling it for yourself. And pay attention to those subtle things. And by subtle, it could be as simple as, I don't know, like, for example, my husband called me yesterday, and he's going to Guam for work. And he called me and he's like, Isabel, he's like, I've been thinking about that, and I think you should come to Guam. I know earlier we've decided, it might not be a good idea for you to come, but I think you should come. And a place in my body was super excited. Another one was like, no, anxious. So I kind of sat down with it, and I was like, why can I not be super excited about it? And then I realized, well, I was discerning the energy, and I thought, no, I'm just not meant to go, and that's okay. So I kind of let go of that idea of going, because I felt inside of me, and it was really subtle. It was a very subtle moment of anxiety, and then it went away. But I knew at that point, I was like, this is my body telling me that it might not be a good idea. And I paid attention to it in the moment, and then I thought, well, I'll still look for tickets. Start looking for airplane tickets, and I had this sense of anxiety that came back, and I thought, okay, I'm getting the message. So pay attention to those subtle things that are showing up in your body, in your mind, around you, and you'll see that the more you do that, the more you're capable of discerning the energy, the more you're capable of paying attention to, okay, is this for me? Is this not for me? And that's only the beginning. That's only the beginning of your ability to advance faster in life. And now I want to say that that's probably why I'm so in flow with things, and that's why I'm having success in the projects that I invest in, because I pay a lot of attention to this subtle energy around me, and I'm able to discern and not put too much energy into things that are not in alignment. And same thing with my channeling. People often ask me, how do you know you're not channeling negative beings? I just know because the signature of the energy is different. And one other thing about channeling beings or being in connection with your guides, they will never inflate your ego, in a sense that they will never tell you that you're the best, you're the 100th person in the world that have a certain ability. You're the only person that can channel this being. You're this and you're that. When some guide inflate your ego, it's because it's a guide. A negative entity disguised as a guide. He just want you to feel good around it. Trust me, my guides are very bold. They don't sugarcoat anything. If I do something well, they'll tell me they're really proud of me, but they'll never say, Isabel, you're the only person that can channel the way that you channel. You're one of those 100 awakened person on earth. You're this and you're that. And, that's my opinion. That's my experience, that whenever some guide is inflating somebody's ego, it doesn't make sense to me energetically. Why would you do that? Why would you feed the ego? Why do that? Because all of a sudden that person has a spiritual ego, and it's blocking that person from evolving, and also from the compassion and recognizing the worth and importance of everyone around. So I hope this can help you or give you some guidance in regards to how can you go about life and use more discernment. And this discernment, again, pay attention to how you feel, but also don't let that impact other people. If for me, I'm not in alignment with somebody, lately it was Feel Good. I was just not in alignment with his stuff on my Instagram, so I stopped following him. But if you still follow him and it speaks to you, it's just because it's your truth and it's not mine. And that's okay. Like, there's no judgment here. The only important thing is that you trust yourself and you flow through it. If somebody tells me like, oh, I love Joe Dispenza, and I'm just like not into Joe Dispenza, well, I'll be happy for the other person because it's bringing them something. It doesn't mean that if I don't align with Joe Dispenza, that's somebody else's issue, that they would be like in a bad situation. No, it just means that for me right now, this is not in alignment, but for this person, it is. And this person will get whatever she needs out of it. I don't own the one truth. I own my truth and you have your own. And that's why discernment is so important, but don't use it as a judgment tool for others. If I don't agree with something that somebody is saying, it doesn't mean that it's the person is a bad person. It just means it's not in alignment with my experience and what I feel in the moment. Thank you so much for listening. This has been such a great pleasure to share those moments with you. I'm really excited about you who are listening, and I want to thank you from From the deepest part of my heart, I want to thank you for being present, for listening, and also feel free to reach out anytime. If there's any subject you want me to explore, you want me to talk about, I would be super excited to hear from you. And also it would be extremely helpful for me because I would have a better idea of what you're looking for. So you take care, and we'll talk again in a week.